Even if these three conditions are satisfied, we know that the buyer is responsible here. However, under exceptions, we will be seeing that seller is responsible. Let's see what is meant by the exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor. The first is fitness as to quality or use. We have already seen this aspect under implied conditions and implied warranties. What does it state? Where A, B and C are satisfied, A, B and C are satisfied, then it is the duty of the seller to supply such goods that will reasonably fit for the purpose the buyer wants it. Where A, B and C. What is A, B and C? Buyer has made known the purpose of purchase and he relies upon the skills and judgment of the seller, and the seller deals with such product. In such a case, of course, as part of caveat emptor, buyer was responsible after satisfying this condition. But when we see exceptions, seller becomes responsible here. How does it work? Even after the buyer has satisfied A, B and C points, if the seller does not supply a reasonably fit product for the buyer, then obviously the seller becomes responsible. The basic point under exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor is seller is responsible. We have two cases very important to understand. One is Bombay Burma Trading Corporation Limited versus Aga Muhammad, and two is Priest versus Last. What does this two case law discuss about? Let me put it point by point to you. In the first case, that is Bombay Burma Trading Corporation Limited versus Aga Muhammad, there is a fact which says, these are the fact which states that the buyer has gone to a timber person and he is specifically told he wants the timber for railways. Well, timber can be used for multiple uses, but when the buyer has clearly told the seller that he wants it for a particular purpose, the seller is bound to supply that particular goods for that particular purpose, and he has to make a judgment whether his product fits for the purpose that the buyer is asking for. Where the buyer has specifically told what he wants, and in spite of that, if the seller has sold a substandard quality or unfit quality, then obviously the seller becomes responsible. In this case, where the buyer has asked for timber which has to fit with the railways, and in spite of that, the seller has sold a substandard or unfit quality, the courts have told that seller is responsible here and the contract can be avoided. Well, in the same case law, we can also understand that if by chance the buyer had not made it specifically or not told the specific requirement of the product to the seller, and the seller has supplied the timber in a general scenario, in such case, caveat emptor would have become applicable, where the buyer would have become responsible and not the seller. That is what you have to understand in the case law. The second case is pretty interesting, wherein Priest versus Last. In that, there is a chemist who is a seller, and there is a buyer who goes to the chemist, that is a pharmacy person, and asks for hot water bottle. Remember the point, the buyer has conveyed the seller that he wants hot water bottle for a particular purpose. And second question is, the buyer has also asked the seller whether this hot water bottle will withstand boiling water, for which the seller eventually has told that it will withstand and the product is of fine quality. Believing this, the buyer buys the hot water bottle. Eventually what happens, the hot water bottle blasts and it injures the person, that is the buyer's wife. Now, the buyer has filed a case on the seller, obviously, for which what did the court say? Court observed only 2 points. First, whether the buyer has informed the seller for what purpose he wants the product. Yes, hot water bottle. Second, whether the buyer has relied upon the judgment and skills and the expert knowledge of the seller whether the boiling water can withstand in this hot water bottle, for which the seller has conveyed a positive intent to sell the product, telling that it will withstand, and in spite of that the bottle has blasted and injured the buyer's wife. Therefore, the courts definitely have ordered in this case that the seller is responsible. The internal point is seller is a dealer of such particular product. It goes without saying, because being a pharmacist, he is a dealer of hot water bags, hot water bottle, apart from the medical equipments and medical tablets and syrups. So what do we understand from this? I put it down in a simple words: goods and its purpose. If the product was of single purpose, like for that matter, hot water bottle, the courts have gone ahead and told the buyer need not even tell the purpose to the seller. The buyer need not even tell. But in the case law, the buyer has told. Therefore, it goes without saying that even if the buyer does not tell the seller, if the purpose of the product was only one single product, then the rule of caveat emptor does not apply. Of course, the second part should have been satisfied by the buyer, relying upon the skill and judgment of the seller. The second aspect is multiple purpose, like for that matter, our Bombay Burma Trading Corporation case, where timber could have been used for multiple purpose. Having said that, if it is for multiple purpose, buyer has to tell the purpose to the seller, which in our case law, the buyer has told that the purpose of purchasing the timber was specifically for railways, and in spite of that, the seller has sold substandard quality or unfit quality, for which the courts have decided that the contract can be avoided. So that was the summary point of the first part, that is fitness as to quality or use. We move on to the second point, that is goods purchased under patent or brand name. It says no implied condition about fitness applies. What do you mean by this? Where a particular product is sold by a trademark, is sold by a brand name, is sold with a patent, then the courts presume that the fitness of the product is intact. Then why are we reading under exceptions to the rules, sir? Yes, there is a point. Coupled with that, no implied condition means the contract cannot be cancelled also. Then where is the exception, sir? Yes, there is an exception, my dear friends. What is it? Although the goods have been purchased under patent or brand name or a trademark name, the intermittent seller who sold the goods to the buyer may not be held responsible, but the manufacturer who manufactured substandard quantity or quality and sold it under this particular brand name can be held responsible, giving a savior to the buyer who becomes safe in such cases. Therefore, I say no implied condition about fitness applies, correct. Caveat emptor applies, correct, but the manufacturer who sold the goods to the intermittent seller and there the intermittent seller sold it to the buyer, the fight will be between the buyer and the manufacturer of the product. Therefore, eventually boiling down to the same point that the buyer will still be safe, which is nothing but exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor. The next point, goods sold by description. We have already discussed this in our conditions and warranties chapter, that is under implied conditions. Check this. If the goods are sold by description, implied condition applies, that is, goods has to match with the description, else the seller is liable. What do you mean by this? When a goods is described before the contract of sale or at the time of the contract of sale, and when the real delivery of the goods happens, if the description and the real goods does not match, in simple words, the description was something else and the goods delivered was something else, in such case, rule of caveat emptor will not apply. Buyer is safe, seller will be held responsible for such an act. Next comes goods of merchantable quality. It is nothing but same as point number 3, that is same as point 3 above. However, please note that if the buyer has not examined the goods or a reasonable opportunity of examination of the goods was not given by the seller to the buyer, then caveat emptor will not apply. still boiling down to the same point that buyer is safe. Remember friends, all these points that we are reading under exception is safeguarding the interest of the buyer. Are we clear on this point? Moving further, sale by sample is similar to sale by description with a small change that if the bulk does not correspond with the sample, caveat emptor does not apply. Where bulk quantity of goods is delivered and where the sample was shown earlier, if that sample and this bulk quantity of goods do not match, then the rule of caveat emptor will not apply, thereby safeguarding the interest of the buyer. It's pretty logical. You have shown some sample and delivered some other goods, then how in this world can the buyer be held responsible for not verifying the product or not checking the product? So base point continues to be the same, that buyer is safe here, caveat emptor will not apply. Next, sale by sample and description is a combination of point number 3 and point number 5. There is nothing more to explain in that. Next comes trade usage. If it is deviated, then rule of caveat emptor does not apply. Sir, can you give an example? Yes. Let's say when we go and buy a shirt in a shop, a cloth shop, there is a presumption and belief that the shirt should be packed in a particular way. And if it has undergone an abnormal packing or an unfit or unreliable packing, then in such a case, rule of caveat emptor does not apply. If you have recalled by going to a showroom, there is a box of a shirt, or rather a shirt is packed in a box, and you are given a permission to just open the cover and check the texture of the cloth or the texture of the shirt. In such a case, if by default or if by the error of the seller the packing was gone wrong and thereby there is a defect in the product, obviously the buyer cannot be held responsible here. The seller is responsible because the trade usage, what we believed generally, the customary practices that the shirt is packed in a particular way, that has undergone a deviation. If that deviation has actually happened, then the buyer cannot be held responsible here. Seller will have to be held responsible because the rule of caveat emptor does not apply here. And lastly, seller actively conceals defect or is guilty of fraud. Now there appears to be a small confusion here when we compare this point number 8 and point number 2 of the basics. Point number 2 says buyer cannot hold the seller liable for wrong selection by the buyer as the seller is not bound to disclose the defect in the goods. Vis-a-vis that, here it says seller actively conceals the defect or is guilty of fraud. Means basically the buyer need not disclose the defects, but the seller need not disclose the defects, but where the buyer has asked the seller that whether these goods are fit, whether the goods are of a quality nature, whether it serves the particular purpose what the buyer wants, and buyer has also disclosed that he relies upon the skills and judgment of the seller. In spite of that, if the defects are concealed by the seller, then seller is responsible for act of misrepresentation and fraud. He is guilty of misrepresentation and fraud. Therefore, definitely it becomes an exception to the rule of caveat emptor. Sir, can you give an example? Yes. Let's say you have gone to buy a TV set in one of the showrooms. You found a TV and you asked whether this TV is of so and so quality, whether there is any internal damages, whether it is durable, what is the warranty period, all these things you have asked, and you have eventually also told that you are relying upon the judgment of the seller's skill and his expert knowledge in the field of TVs. In spite of that, let's say as a background scene, seller knew that there was a defect in the particular TV and he's made a repair to it, which is not apparently being seen by the buyer, because you can't open a TV and check whether there was any repairs inside that. The fact is, please observe this, seller knew that there was a defect, he repaired it, the buyer has asked whether there was any defect, seller has concealed the defect, and he's told the goods is of good quality and eventually sold it. This is the mistake. It is nothing but a misrepresentation of a fact, or it can be termed as fraud also, with an intention to deceive the customer, that is a buyer. Therefore, he is guilty of fraud, and which eventually works out to a simple point telling that it is an exception to the rule of caveat emptor, where buyer becomes safe here. These were the points, my dear friends, about exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor. This is a target question for exam in my opinion. Please revise this again and again. In case you have any doubts, do mail me to lohitacademy@gmail.com. I shall revert back. Thank you so much.